To start, I'm going to take off the wheel. If you have a hubcap and the little lug nut caps, go ahead and take those off with a 19mm. If not, just go ahead and take off the lug nuts with a 19mm. Remove the wheel. There are two 14mm bolts they have to remove to get this caliper off the bracket. I'm going to use a wrench because it fits best in here, and with a hammer or a rubber mallet, you can break these free, just like this. On this bottom one, you can use a ratchet if you want. Take both of these off. Pull it off of the bracket and the pads. Set this aside. I'm going to set this aside like that. And now you'll see two 13mm bolts that are holding this bracket onto the knuckle. Let's get those off. Remove your caliper bracket with the pads. We'll get the pads out in a minute. Now you can remove your rotor. From the back side of the hub here, or the knuckle I should say, you see the ABS sensor, which we'll have to disconnect, and then the 4 mounting nuts that we take off for the hub to come out. But we'll start with the ABS sensor. Pry back on this little tab, push it down, and that should move right out of your way. Set it aside, that way you have access to all 4 of these 15mm nuts. Start with this one down here. Doesn't really matter where you start, just take all 4 off. Now with all 4 mounting nuts off, we can take a hammer, just hammer the bearing, walk it back and forth until it comes out of the knuckle. It's coming already. A lot of times these are super rusted and you'll need a lot of hammering, but it looks like this one's not. Backing plate will come with it. There it is. Of course, save your backing plate. We'll clean everything up and reinstall the new one. You want to clean up this inside area here. That's where the bearing sits. And you want to make sure it's nice and clean, free of any debris or corrosion. I'm just going to take a pry bar. You can take a screwdriver or whatever you have and just scrape off the large debris here and get it off of the knuckle. If you need to sand it down with sandpaper, go ahead, but keep in mind this is aluminum. Don't take off too much material. I took a little sanding disc, sanded it all down, made it nice and clean. I'm going to put some anti-seize on this inner lip of the knuckle where the hub mounts so I can prevent future corrosion, and right on this surface on the outside where it mounts flat up against it for the same reason, of course, to prevent corrosion. A nice thin layer will do the trick. Take your backing plate, line it up, and take the new wheel bearing hub assembly, slide it in. It should slide in all the way with no pressure or no force. If it doesn't, that's probably because you have debris inside there and you need to clean it up more. Start on the 4 mounting nuts. Let's snug them all up. And this one I'll have to do by hand. All right, let's grab a torque wrench and torque them. 47 foot-pounds for all of these. I like to tighten these in a cross pattern. That way the wheel bearing can seat itself evenly. Those are all tight. Reconnect the ABS sensor. Make sure it clicks. Let's coat the hub in some anti-seize. A thin layer will do. Let's get the rotor on. Let's get this bracket back on. And if you wish to do so, you can put thread locker on these bolts. Definitely don't put grease or anti-seize. That is not what you want on your brake caliper bolts. Start these on, and we'll torque them to 96 foot-pounds. All right, let's put the pads in. The outer pad does not get a wear indicator, and the inner pad gets a wear indicator on the top. I like to put it on the drag side, that way as the brake pads wear out, this will make some noise for you to let you know that they're low. And if you put it on the bottom, it'll just jam itself into the rotor or into the pad as the rotor's spinning. Now take your caliper, slide it over the two pads. If it doesn't fit, it's probably because the piston needs to be retracted a little more, but this one is perfect. Let's get the two mounting bolts. Start those in. Now these get torqued to 26 foot-pounds. I'm gonna have to hold the slider while I tighten up the bolt. Let's get the wheel back on. Start on all 5 of your lug nuts, bottom them out, and torque them to 100 foot-pounds. And then of course, if you have a hubcap, you would put that on after. Mine's missing, but basically has little plastic 19mm caps. You can just screw it onto the lug nuts.